Welcome to the Black Man Spy U.S.-Iran Warcast, our daily intelligence update. So we collect all of the information so that you don't have to. And with me, scrolling behind on his map, is Jacob Kaarsbo, former Danish Middle East intelligence officer, like me, decades of experience in this part of the world. Look at that cool picture of him at Qadisiyah Palace with the
You want the
Saddam's
back?
crossed swords back there. Show us. There you go. That's some
There it is.
saltiness. All right. That's salty. So I've been under there. We used to go running around that circle. I did all my bodyguards, my Iraqi bodyguards training up there. They hated it. I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't
But
even
you,
do the cross
yeah,
swords still stand?
as far as I know, yeah. And the first time I was there, early 2004, you could still buy Saddam kits there.
Oh yeah.
And then when you came back, I think it was 2006 or seven. It was all the Saddam kits was gone.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of soldiers there that need souvenirs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I got a different form of Saddam kitsch when I was in Baghdad. I mean, I was there in 2003, just shortly after the invasion. And I was in Basra. By the way, I saw that picture that you put up. That was Basra Palace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was in Basra, and then I was in Basra for almost 7, 8 months. Then I got recruited to come be on L. Paul Bremer's staff in Baghdad, where I worked in the Republican Palace. And this is, the crosswords, dodging mortars, full-time job. But I got loads of Saddam swag that I mainly took from capturing places like during Desert Storm. I boarded ships and took all sorts of just crazy stuff. And you can all hear about that. My memoir is coming out this year. Finally, it took 22 months for the Pentagon, for these agencies to clear it. The Pentagon, Office of Naval Intelligence, Navy Information Warfare Command, which used to be called Naval Security Group Command, the National Security Agency, Defense Intelligence Agency, Central Intelligence Agency, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, all had to read the book from end to end and blank out anything in there that they didn't think was clearable. And there are many systems and activities that we did that usually at 25 years they get cleared, but there are many systems that are still in use. And you can tell where they are when they have that little blank, like they would have covered up a certain code word or
Yeah.
operation cover name of activities that still exist. What shocked me is how much they left. I
Yeah.
mean, it's, as they say in the book, it's not when at the beginning of the book, just because it's been declassified or blanked out doesn't mean that we endorsed or confirm anything in this book. And there's a lot in that book. I thought, man, they're going to blank out chapters. But they gracefully, mainly 4 of the countries that I operated against don't exist anymore, including their militaries. And so the signals intelligence, the communications from those countries don't exist, right? So Gaddafi's Libya, Assad's Syria, Saddam's Iraq, and who else did we fight in the meantime? Oh, lots of Lebanese and the beginnings of Hezbollah. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
some of the Hezbollah stuff is blanked out because they're still there. And one mission that I thought would absolutely just get is a special operation I did in Chad, about the Chadian mission and supporting a U.S. special operation that came much later after I did this Chadian mission. And Special Operations Command's only complaint was that a certain select Tier 1 Special Forces unit needed to have whatever I wrote about them changed to a U.S. Special Operations Force. That's it. And then they blanked out a couple of other things. And I thought, man, you didn't, and then when I realized that people, it's 25 years, 30 years, people have
Yeah.
already written about a lot of this stuff. They just don't know it from my perspective, NSA's perspective, right?
No.
And so this will be the first time you'll be reading stuff. You'll be like someone opened the Enigma codes. But I'm glad that the agencies involved that I may or may not have worked with took their shot, and it did take. This is one of the longer pre-publication reviews. I was told by someone at the Pentagon. A friend of mine is a guy who worked in the that Tier 1 Special Operations Force, and his book took 9 months, and they thought that was really long. And they didn't blank out anything in his book, they just wanted to make sure it wasn't cleared. But mine took 22 and a half months. 22 and a half months. I think it hit the Hegseth wall last year. It was probably done, and they were like, "Black man spy? No way." That's it on the table. So the reason I'm mentioning the book is because a lot of the experiences that I mention here on this show with regards to the Persian Gulf, or as you call it, the Arabian Gulf, some people, they're all coming full circle. I mean, literally, operations I did in the 80s are being proposed to be done right now. And I did a review of this one chapter called The Sand Sailor, because that's what they called us, sand sailors. And I forgot about missions that are in the book, which we're probably going to do again. Special operations missions against Iranian forces in small
Yeah.
boats in the northern Persian Gulf. For those of you who it's on the internet, you can find out. It has been cleared in my book now. Operation Prime Chance, and an attack against the Iranians, Nimble Archer, what led up to the one I was in, the big battle, Operation Praying Mantis. And yeah, just weird. The stuff that they cleared, they were like, yeah, that's fine. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe they thought, yeah, we're bombing Iran.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. They're not going to exist. Well, in this update, we're going to tell you Iran does exist, and it continues. So let's go with the update on day 24 of this war. So very little to report in general categories. And then when I get through the basic war stuff, we're going to bring Wajid up. And I hope he's up. Somebody said he was here. Casualties have not changed that much. We haven't had a big update. I'm sure I could just add 200 to Lebanon, and that would be
Yeah.
correct. As you see here, Iranians, 1,500 killed, 8,000 plus wounded, 14 U.S. service members, we're 300 wounded. Israel, 17 plus 375. We told you that's the result. Went up 175 from the attack on the town of Adar and Dimona, right? Gulf states, 29. We added the one person who was killed from falling debris in Qatar. Iraq, yesterday you had it at 58. I don't know whether that's changed.
62 or something.
62. Okay, it's ticking up. Lebanon, do you know if there been a big change?
There hasn't been an update.
Okay.
There hasn't been an update.
All right. Well, that's it for the casualties in the war. Iran oil prices. Well, on the basis, I don't know why this is backwards. On the basis of things that happened yesterday, oil has fallen. Brent North Sea crude has fallen down $16 per barrel last night because Donald Trump pulled a famous taco. He backed down on his own threat that he issued as an ultimatum to Iran. And then we're going to get into that in a minute. On the basis that tensions cooled because of that, oil dropped $16 a barrel. That is only the West Texas Intermediary. I don't even have that. I only got Brent North Sea crude that dropped down from 112 down to right now 97.43 cents per barrel. On the spot market in the Persian Gulf, not the Persian Gulf, Oman and the Red Sea, And some of these shadow tankers, we're going to talk about that have been somehow slipped out of the Persian Gulf yesterday. They're still selling for the 145 to 177 a barrel. That
Yeah.
stuff, that's because that's physical oil that actually exists, as opposed to the promise of oil and oil futures that you might get someday somewhere, right? Real oil is up in the 170s. So that being said, let's skip that and go straight to the significant activities. The biggest significant activity, of course, I'm going to turn this light out because it is blinding me and you're not seeing my beautiful sign that says significant activities. Okay, today's significant activity is, if you recall yesterday, Donald Trump gave a 48-hour ultimatum to Iran that was going to expire at 6:44 p.m. Eastern Time today. That was that if Iran did not completely and wholly open the Strait of Hormuz to allow free shipping to go through without any preconditions, he would unilaterally use the U.S. Air Force to attack every energy site, any power plant in the Gulf, including the Paris natural gas.
Obliterate.
Yeah, obliterate. That's
Starting with the biggest. Starting
he
with
is.
the
It's
biggest.
He never starts with the smallest. He always goes bigly.
Yeah. Whatever.
Jesus Christ. Oh, hold it. I'm sorry. I can't go through this segment without another shot of coffee. It's just, I'm sorry. This is highly concentrated. Tomorrow I should be back at my house in upstate New York. Still got snow here. And I will be quadruple espressoing it over there. I have an automatic espresso machine in my office. I have to for this war. So Donald Trump, after issuing that insane ultimatum that roiled the oil markets and shot the price of oil up $10 to $15 per barrel, has now done a full taco. And if you don't know what taco stands for, Trump always chickens out. But he always couches it as if it's some amazing art of the deal victory. Well, in this case, he said, the Iranians have come back to me. You know what? Let's read it.
Very constructive
Let's
conversation.
read it. It's no fun if we don't get I'm sorry, that's still on PowerPoint. It's no fun unless we can read it ourselves. Because, you know, Trump is just I don't get him. You know, I don't nobody gets him because, because what he's doing is he's negotiating in his head. It's all happening between here and there, and I'm not sure there's much in
He's
there to
hearing
negotiate with.
voices.
He's hearing voices. Donald, you're like the most awesomest. Therefore, everyone will back off except, they'll back down from you. And the other side of his head goes, yeah, you're freaking awesome. You know, everybody chickens out except the Donald. Okay, so now here we are. We're in the Donald land, and he makes this utterly amazing statement. Let me see if I can get it up here. Oh, PowerPoint just does not want to play with us today. And if I was a good PowerPoint commando, I would have had this already set up with the statement inside PowerPoint. But it's worth waiting for. Go, take a sip of your coffee.
Malcolm, while you find that, I think someone sent us or tagged us on someone who had done an analysis and said that Donald Trump, this was all a calculation on his part, etc., etc., and asked our opinion. And I will say, I haven't had time to go over it in detail, but I think this guy was rationalizing a lot of these things. I don't think there's a basis for it, because it happens, as I'm saying continuously, what Trump does all the time. He's in the hole and he keeps digging. So there is no grand strategy. There is no like, I'm all for that he doesn't think how it hurts the American people as long as it
Okay.
benefits himself.
Yep.
That's probably right. But again, he's always doing a lot of erratic stuff that also hurts himself politically, and I would say in the long run also economically.
Well, Waji is going to come up here and help us do the analysis. But let me read this statement to you if you have not heard or read the literal words of this statement. I will not read it in Trump speak because every word is in caps. So I would be shouting louder than my normal loud shouting, which means I'd go hoarse. So he
Shouting like
says,
shout face.
I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and
That's
total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. He's saying they are negotiating the end of the war, not the Strait of Hormuz. That's interesting. Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, you know that ain't that motherfucker's words. Tone and tenor. No, I don't think so. But based on the tone and tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which WITCH, yeah, he wrote that part, which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussion. Thank you for your attention to this matter, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
the
Okay,
witches have
hold on.
helped
Let's
him.
Waji,
Witches,
if
the
you
the
can hear me, here
witches,
comes Waji. Let's
the
let's
witches
get
have been there.
let's also get the Gulf states opinion. Here's Waji Lion. First, let me give you my assessment because I run the show. So I'm just being greedy. Um, Here's what I think. First off, uh Iranian state media says there are no negotiations going on. So this negotiation may, in fact, be in his head or be through a back channel. And if there's any one thing that I've learned, I lived in the Middle East. I lived there and operated there as a Muslim in diwans of some of the highest level people. And anything I know is that any intermediary, watch it, any intermediary will
Watching.
put a lot of flowers and roses on top of every statement. So if Iran goes, you've got to be out of your fucking mind. I have done this myself in Arabic for my military commanders, where I've said something completely different than what was said, you know? And so if the Iranians are like, no way, you're out of your mind, the intermediary will say, this is an opening to further communications. Right? And Trump will go, oh my God, the Iranians want to talk to me. They're ready to surrender. That's the three levels of communication here. The initial communication, the flowery cover up, and then Trump interpreting it as complete capitulation. I personally, the Gulf states are even saying, we don't know anything about this. So if there's a back channel, it's either one, really hidden, or two, it's in Trump's head. What do you guys think?
I think
What?
the witches are playing with his head.
The witch that's in there?
The witch in the text.
The witch hunters. They're all playing in his head the whole time.
Well,
Um, I think the best way to describe D1s for Westerners, it's imagine you are in Game of Thrones. Everyone talks like that. Everyone acts and talks like that there. Like honestly, with true to God. Like this is the best way I could put it. Like the way they like to describe things in terms of diplomacy is always like like my side is like gonna describe it to you the best. The solution is in Riyadh. The solution, they want to. That's a hashtag people in Saudi Arabia like to have. The solution is in Riyadh. Um, yeah, Al-Hal fi Riyadh.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah. How is the
but
solution in Riyadh then?
well, it's not happening because not only it's not happening in Riyadh. I don't think it. Maybe Riyadh would take it, but Qatar for sure said they're not going to take the negotiation.
Ooh, so,
They said we are
bold
not taking the
strategy.
negotiation. They said we are focused on our national defense and protecting our borderland at this moment.
You know, Iran could really make that statement challenging because they appear to have Qatar in their sights, and Qatar is so far out, they get struck first. And I don't know, maybe they got 100 of those Ukrainian anti-drone pilot interceptor teams out there now, and they're feeling bold. But that's an interesting strategy. Somebody said you made a post in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say?
I said that the Iranian government came out and said that the Trump administration has not reached out to us, have not started any serious negotiations. He's only stalling.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's the statement from the Iranian government.
Stalling. Well, that wouldn't be wrong. But more importantly, this morning on the Iranian news, they're saying Trump capitulated. And the thing about Trump is I don't know whether, if anything, this back channel could be Steve Witkoff to Vladimir Putin or to the Russian foreign minister Lavrov to the Iranians, right? And if that's the case, then the Russians will tell it straight, right? And it's Trump that will be turning it into a fantasy in his head because he's saying this is a negotiation for a complete and total cessation of all hostilities, which is pretty amazing when you think about that, because he's technically declaring he's going to off-ramp from this war based on negotiations. You notice he didn't say we're not going to stop bombing Iran. We're just going to stop we're not going to obliterate your energy and oil production, which takes him off of his 48-hour ultimatum. But I really think that he's got it in his head that he's about to win.
Did I mention that the Iranian says there no direct or indirect communication?
So it's just made up.
Who has a 5-year-old? Because I need somebody who knows the negotiating tactics of Donald Trump to tell me how that works. No direct or indirect. I'm walking down the street, I find a letter to Donald Trump, and I pick it up. How does that work?
But I think really, he realized that the Truth Social post where he threatened to take out the power generators and all that stuff was a bad idea, and then he just makes things up as he goes.
Well, I'm sure the GCC nations are like, hold on, man. Like, are you trying to really sever our relationship? Because like, if Iranians start like you hit all these power plants, they're gonna hit all our water plants. They're gonna we're the ones getting the hit. Hold on here, slow down.
You see, yesterday, the Iranians put out highly detailed imagery, satellite imagery, clearly from the Russians. They have a full-scale database that they can recreate of every one of the desalinization plants and power plants. And it was just like they did before they hit Ras Laffan and all the Emirati ones. They put out that picture saying, ready to say evacuate.
Yeah.
And Qatar Qatar admitted they evacuated 10,000 people out of the oil fields on the basis of that notice. And the Iranians did it again yesterday, and the Qataris must have been like, whoa, it's going on. But somebody made a comment that he said, Wajid, you said Turkey, Egypt, and Pakistan are actively mediating. Well, I can understand Pakistan. They're desperate. Pakistan is the single largest importer of gas and oil from Iran. 27% of all of their energy production. That's 1/4 of all their energy is from Iran. And they now have the multipass, which, by the way, I have a multipass to show all of you.
Well,
I found one.
Did you?
All these nations, and you guys know this very well, already have back channels negotiating with the Israelis and the Palestinians.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's not too hard for them just to reach out and be like, "Can you guys slow down?"
Yeah. I don't understand.
I think what has happened, this is probably, if you recall, a couple of weeks ago, where Trump was thinking about, the Kurds will rise up and will make the Kurds throw out the regime, where probably Erdogan and a couple of others have called up to Trump and said, hey, brother, this is not a very good idea. This will be deep shit. And then probably, Waji, as you were saying, with the water, the desalination plants, etc., the Gulf Arabs have called up Trump and said this is a very bad idea, and then he's just made up this nonsense about.
Well, he's pulling a full taco here. I mean, this is really a taco. Everybody's calling it Taco Monday on this day. And, but it's work. I mean, oil's down 12%, which works for people that are shorting oil, right? Who are betting on this. And that's very interesting. Let me see. I think we have, that's pretty much it on that. The question is, do we just sit and wait? And I find it absolutely amazing. He timed his deadline for 1.5 hours after close of the markets on Friday. So if he screws this up and the Gulf oil prices shoot up to, are waiting for him to end the war, he has 2 days where he didn't end the war right before the markets. And I really think, you can clearly see it. There's clear market manipulation going on here. He's making statements on Sundays. He's making statements to give up deadlines on Mondays. Monday goes bad, and then Monday evening, he clears it all up. So whoever is shorting this or buying stock is making money hand over fist, And I think that's the only thing that has a strategy in Trump's mind. Here's another thing is, like I said, Barron Trump, before this war started, Barron Trump, how old is he? 18, 19 years old? Bought $30 million of oil stocks 48 hours before the war started. Who has 30 million to blow at age 18, 19, 20? Right? He doesn't. He got that from his stupid fart coin, fake Bitcoin scam. Right? And being associated with his father. And now he's probably made, if he had that and bought oil at $67 a barrel, he would be worth $50 million right now. And if it was Brent North Sea crude, he would have been worth almost $70 million right now. This is just sheer ass manipulation for him. And I hope to God, when the Democrats take power again, they all are. I don't want fucking hearings. All right. I want Nuremberg trials. All right. This can never happen again. That the laws are put in and that the penalties aren't, probation, first time criminal probation. Penalties need to be 10 and 20 years. Right. And then we should sick your ass over to the states that you defrauded for this, like New York State, and let them put you in so no one can pardon you out in the future. It's clear the market's being manipulated. And here's the worst point. Part 2 of this manipulation is he manipulating the market this week so that the Tripoli Amphibious Readiness Group will arrive and be in position to threaten the Strait of Hormuz Islands, right? Larak, Hormuz, Kishem Island. They don't need all of the other Marines from the Bataan Amphibious Readiness Group, which won't be there for 3.5 weeks, almost a month. The Bataan will not arrive until not even the end of April.
Yeah.
So don't tell me there is not stock market manipulation, because here's how I know. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, was on Face the Nation yesterday, or Meet the Press, and he was speaking on behalf of military operations. It's like, what? It's like you're in the Pentagon and goes, go get me the janitors. I want them to do this PowerPoint, about what's going on. I want to play this for you because it's utterly amazing that Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, declared what U.S. strategy was in the Strait of Hormuz. And this is, this is crazy talk.
To build those missiles.
Hold on. I'll restart it.
The General Kane, Secretary Hegseth, are leading a campaign to destroy all the fortifications along the Straits of Hormuz.
Just to put a fine point on this, though, is the president in the process of winding down this war or escalating?
Again, they're not mutually exclusive. Sometimes you have to escalate to de-escalate.
Okay. NBC News is reporting that President Trump is considering sending troops into Iran. Will the administration...
Every day, we are taking...
I don't know if you got that, but he said, sometimes you have to escalate to de-escalate. Would somebody explain that to me? That's like Putin saying, send in another 1,000,000 men into Ukraine so that we can de-escalate it by taking the country. Bro, that's some gut. I'm sorry. I literally must reread George Orwell's 1984. I am not appreciating the depth of that book because at the time it was fanciful science fiction. Now I'm watching them use the actual phrase, right? Up is down, right is wrong, black is white, right? The only immutable rule was that whatever the chief says is always the truth. What? I want to escalate to de-escalate. All right. That means, here's what it means in military speak. We're going to kill you. Right? The only way we escalate our lethal firepower, and it is de-escalated over your dead body. There's no other way to interpret that. Or you're going to surrender. And I think that this kind of kooky, crazy talk in the White House, which shows the utter ignorance of warfare. And they don't care. Everyone under Pete Hegseth is an absolute professional and knows what they're doing. Even General Kane.
Yes.
General Kane, they have to follow orders. All of their orders are based on what the decision makers do. Right? And what the decision makers' knowledge. And the fact is like, send the cash money guy out. Onto the street. And it's just like, yo, I'm the drug lord's accountant, y'all. We gonna have to escalate to de-escalate if you don't give us what we want. This is even in the Godfather, okay? The Corleones, when they had their wartime consigliere, right? They had Tom there. They knew that when it was time to start shooting everybody, what did they tell Tom? Don't show up. And he goes, Mike, you need a wartime consigliere. He was like, no, in wartime, we need shooters. They sent him off. They sent him out of the room so that he wouldn't know what was happening. So someone explained to me why the cash money brother here is explaining military operations. You guys
here's what we didn't discuss in the points you just mentioned earlier. There has also been huge insider trading in the betting market, the new betting market. People have been like such and such will say something, or such and such will hit something, or and they invest a large amount of uh, money. And the last one on Iran, they made a $1.2 million in profit just off of the U.S. attack on Iran.
Yeah, we saw that. And that's all subject to investigation, too. Hey, listen, a component of this, as I said before, is I really think it's just in Trump's head, and we are all captive to his mental illness. And this is an example of it. This is from the press briefing last Friday. I'll read it to you. This journalist wrote all this down in real time. Friday's press gaggle, barely exaggerated. At 12:03 p.m., President Trump told reporters he wanted a ceasefire with Iran. At 12:05, he declared victory. At 12:07, he announced he was sending Marines. At 12:08, he said no boots on the ground. At 12:11, he said he did not want a ceasefire. At 12:16, he declared victory again. At 12:17, he asked for a ceasefire. At 12:23, he told NATO they were cowards. At 12:29, he said Iran was begging for a ceasefire. At 12:31, he said everything was perfect. At 12:36, he said $500 of oil was a good thing. $500 barrels of oil, I guess he means, was a good thing. At 12:37, he demanded Iran open Hormuz. At 12:39, he said Hormuz was never closed. At 12:41, he said the U.S. was not at war with Iran. At 12:42, he once again declared victory with Iran. Guys, can we clear the decks, as we say in the
He
Navy?
posts more than a child. He posts
clear
more
the
than a
decks.
child.
All right, let's put this shit on the table. I'm closing the door. It's just us in the watch room. No one without access to the cipher lock can hear what we're going to say. Okay, I'm gonna say it straight, y'all. This motherfucker's got dementia. All right. This is mental illness posing as foreign policy. And we are betting our children and other citizens' lives that this mental illness is considered leadership. Anybody? Tell me I'm wrong. Somebody come up with something.
No, we can't.
He's
We
in the
can't
right
tell you
age.
you're wrong. It's crazy.
He's 80. It's not that he's 80. He's 80 and his family has a history of dementia. And this has been going on for almost 10 years. He can't remember what he said from one minute to the other, literally. And explain this to me. If I were a journalist in the room, and I am a member of the National Association of Black Journalists, so I theoretically can be in the room, I would have jumped up and said, "The fuck you talking about? You're mentally ill. You don't know what you're saying one minute from the other." And then I would have turned to the other journalists and said, "Do none of you see this? We're risking our lives with this demented old man."
But now
Nope,
it's being
not a
normalized.
word.
It's being
They
normalized.
taken down like stenographers, right? That's stenography. He's trying to hint to us that he's fucking crazy. But the whole point is journalists can't do analysis, right? Oh, shit. Help me, guys.
Yeah.
There was this whole thing about them trying to cover his dementia with the Adderall and Vyvanse.
Oh, he's been on Adderall for decades. That's widely reported. Everyone who knows him says that he uses Adderall, right? And that he may abuse Adderall. You know, yeah. And then he's got a shitload of other medicines related to his congestive heart failure, which we can see with our own eyes, right? The guy wears colostomy bags. We can see that with our own eyes. He wears adult diapers. We can see with our own eyes. But the American media is so broken, they refuse to use the words like, "We can see his adult diapers. He has specially tailored pants that don't have zippers, they have Velcro." And you can see the colostomy bag tubes sitting out there, including possibly a chemical pump that's on him. Why? If this were the president of Burundi, I'd be saying, "Mr. Secretary, I recommend airstrikes." This country is being run by a mentally ill leader that will kill anybody who's in their way and has no concern for the world or or stability. The United States should intervene forcefully. That's what we would have said pre-Trump, right? But everyone in America pretends like this doesn't exist because what? He's a rich white guy? Is that the easy pass for, mental illness in the United States? He controls 4,500 atomic bombs, bitches. This ain't funny because he made 23 minutes later, or not 23 minutes later, in 5 minutes, when the Iranians reject him and they find out that the Yazid underground nuclear weapons storage facility, which has a dozen different places they can launch missiles from, that's under a mountain. I was going to talk about that later. When he finds out he can't take it out, we've been bombing it for fucking 4 weeks going on. He may say, tactical nuke. Okay? And I've learned some things, about nukes. All that dirt that goes up in the air gets spread all over the earth, in low-level radiation, but you're all going to be eating, uranium in your Wheaties. And this kind of talk here is crazy talk with a capital K.
It's nuts.
Oh,
It's nuts.
All right.
It's nuts.
My poor followers.
Is it now I should double up and say he's got the NATO Secretary General working as his propagandist?
Yeah.
Just to make
Go
matters
ahead,
even
talk about
worse
Mark
on
Rutte.
this track. I don't know if you Americans saw Mark Rutte appear on some of your Sunday shows yesterday, and even saying to Americans to support Donald Trump in this war. And the NATO Secretary General is a civil servant for 32 NATO countries.
Yeah,
There's
not
no
one.
NATO agreement. There's only been one meeting in closed doors where they've actually talked about the current war. That was last Monday. And there's wide disagreement, and then you have the NATO SG appear like comical Ali back that Bob
what?
on your Sunday shows.
He's closer to Marco Rubio, a guy who doesn't want all this, but is so much of a whip dog. He says, yeah, whatever he said. He compromises his principle. This is Rutte here next to Trump.
Yeah. And, everyone should ask themselves and just pay attention, because what have the Russians said about NATO all the while? They've said, this is just an American enterprise, and the Europeans are just vassals. So when it turns out that the Russians were actually right, we should ask ourselves, this is probably not a good time.
Oh, crazy.
So it's really nuts, and it's scandalous. And the bad thing from a European perspective is that our governments are so scared of doing anything about it because they can't remove Mark Rutte for fear of upsetting Trump. So this freak show will go on.
Yep. Well, in the meantime, let's do some things. Let's go to military operations. Let's talk about something happy.
Yeah, exactly.
The bombs. I said this morning in a radio interview with a news station from Philadelphia where I was born. I said, when you think that you're not hearing about attacks in Iran, they're going 24/7. We're bombing every minute of every hour. There's airstrikes over Iran. So don't think because you're not hearing about it that things aren't going on. They're going on. They're just not hitting energy places. Here's the kicker, though. Don't think for 1 minute that Netanyahu won't just go out and start bombing power plants. He's got a different agenda than Trump.
Yeah.
I know he listens to Trump because Trump is very popular in Israel amongst the extremist right wing that keep Netanyahu's coalition in power. But, Trump may let Netanyahu do it for him. You never know. I mean, it's a cooperative effort. Okay, one of the U.S. operations we talked about was the Yazid Ballistic Missile City, which is inside a mountain in western Iran. And this is the place, if you ever seen the video of like hundreds of ballistic missiles in there, it apparently has dozens of launch portals. And the United States and Israel have been hitting it with all of the biggest bombs that we have. The problem is our bombs can penetrate 60 meters, which is about 120 feet. And most of its ability to destroy is by creating a shock wave that brings down sections of the mountain. They also have portals that lead in and out of the mountain that can also allow ballistic missiles to go out and launch. And we have been striking these portals. What I understand, the Iranians learned this a decade ago. They built blast doors, like triple blast doors inside each one, so that each door can open and lead to the debris, and that they had pre-prepared excavators, bulldozers, everything, knowing that that debris would be falling down on them, so that they could actually get there, keep it shut. They could let the Americans keep it shut with all the mountain that fell on it. Therefore, no commando attack can take place there,
No,
right?
exactly.
And then in others, they dig out the portals quickly with the equipment that they have, and then they start launching ballistic missiles. And that all of these are on an underground railroad that operates in this mountain. And this is why they are still getting a dozen ballistic missile launches a day from this place. And it's
Yeah.
not, this is west of Tehran.
Yeah.
I thought Israel owned that airspace.
Nope.
Apparently not.
No.
So that's still going on. We hit it again yesterday. And in fact, we've hit it just about every day of this war. We're on day 24. And the Iranians are down there, as we say, coking and smoking, right? Having a coke,
Yeah.
having a smoke, drink shadab chai, and they're just having a grand old time. And this facility was built to survive. At the moment this war ends, backhoes and excavators are going to be out there clearing those doors, and the guys are going to emerge, and they're going to have that place fixed. And the problem is, the minute this war ends, we're going to go back and we're going to strike it again, and the Iranians are going to go, this war's not over. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. So just crazy. So that was the only major military activity to update you on. U.S. combat deployments, the 82nd Airborne is mobilizing, and we'll see what they're going to do with that. Tripoli battle group should be in that area. I want to talk about tankers and economics. Hey, 3 tankers got out of the Persian Gulf yesterday. 3. And how did they get out of the Persian Gulf? I will explain to you. It is very simple how they got out of the Persian Gulf. They have, what is it they have? I now have found one. This is an official IRGC multipass. Multipass. I'm going to get one of those easy buttons, and I'm going to record Lilu saying Multipass Dallas and press that button every time. This is the official IRGC multipass. As you can see, it authorizes you to try transit. You have a do not attack protocol for the Strait of Hormuz. No mines, no missiles, no drones, right? They take Visa, American Express, MasterCard, and they accept Trump coin.
Trump coin.
Which may include fart coin. They take Bitcoin. So the official IRGC pass, and Mujtaba al-Khamenei himself authorizes this. And when you use your multipass at the Strait of Hormuz at the Lara Kishem Island toll gate, your $2 million is automatically transferred, and all you have to do is come there and go multipass, and you get through. And apparently yesterday, 3 ships used their Mujtaba Khamenei multipass. And the best part about it, the reason why they take Trump coin, is because Trump has clearly stated there are no sanctions on Iranian oil anymore if it is on a ship.
Like oil is never
Therefore,
on a
the
ship.
IRGC Dallas multipass can get through. And once it's on a ship, and here's the best part, if you're at a pier and you're pumping oil onto your ship, once the oil is in you, you can't be struck, you can't be seized, you can't be attacked, you can't be, you take the money. That
It's
ship,
happy
these
days.
ships, one ship yesterday alone, now one ship came from Abu Dhabi, from the ADNOC, which is Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, oil facility down near Ruwais, and they had an IRGC multipass, which was issued to the government of India. And they came from Abu Dhabi, not from Iran. Abu Dhabi went through the multipass toll booth and sailed with 712,000 barrels of oil, almost $200 million toll paid. So 2 other vessels came out. One was going to China. 2 went to India. We just talked about it. One of them was a liquid natural gas tanker going to India, and the other was an oil tanker going to India. Multipass is a real thing, and it's just as real as this one behind me. We just haven't seen it. So don't laugh. It's a real thing. Multipass is in full play. That
Yeah.
being said, go on, Jacob.
I think there's also more and more media that have finally seen the light now, and
that
and
multipass
have captured that this is going on. It took them a while, but they've found out now.
So we are finding that the wisdom of Dan Zhu in the art of screwing up your own deal is start a war with no preset goals, drive up oil 40%, and just leave. that is the art of Dan Zhu,
That is,
master strategist.
they'll be
Okay.
teaching that at all the defense colleges.
They will.
In years to come. I mean, that'll be fifth. That'll keep going for 100 years.
Yeah. I have a video that I wanted to play for you yesterday. That I have a couple of videos that I want to play for you that are pretty good. Now that I want to get to the comedy part of this show, because the reality part of this show is just crazy. You don't want to do that. So first, this one is Trump says Iran is destroyed. There are no more missiles. Okay, I want to put this on the big screen. Oh, it doesn't expand. I don't know if you can see this. It says, Trump says Iranian missiles are destroyed. This is Iran's response. Here.
It's
No missiles.
It's a bit like when he says that that Putin has agreed to a ceasefire, and then 12 hours later, there's a barrage against all the Ukrainian cities.
Yeah. This video is making the rounds. That's pretty funny. This is Club Hormuz.
And the bouncer.
We are closed. Go away. I have a reservation. Private club. Go away.
I'll play it again.
We are closed. Go away.
Okay, this is my favorite part. Putin and Xi are in the club.
In the club.
He goes, I have a reservation.
I have a reservation. Private club. Go away.
Okay, people are getting very clever at this, but there are 2 videos that are propaganda that I saw yesterday. I didn't have time to put them out before we get to the questions, that I thought were brilliant. I mean, in terms of information warfare, they're really excellent. I mean, these guys are not sparing. And one of which, let me see if I can find it.
You're fired.
Oh, well, there's actually 3 videos. Here's a third one. Here's a third one I forgot about yesterday that I thought was pretty good. It has Trump and Marco Rubio as Teletubbies on an aircraft carrier. Listen.
I know how it's gonna wake up, fucked up, pocket some hell of a rock. What?
Okay, that one was done by China. My goodness, but I love that he's cruising on a nice luxury yacht in Europe. But the rappers, the street thugs, are Xi, Kim Jong Un, and Putin smoking fat cigars. I'm sorry. Okay, that was not the two videos, but I just realized I found them. A new one that was put out by the government of Iran is a few months ago, they started making these Lego movies of their propaganda, and they would do it in like Lego movie form, and there it is right there. And this was put out by Iran yesterday in response to his yeah, sure. Response to his saying the war might be over. I mean, that he was going to attack things. So watch this. This is horrible. I mean, the Iranians attack him ruthlessly here. No multi-pass. Okay, that is a slick piece of propaganda. We suck so bad at it, we didn't do one of these. We went into this war without planning a propaganda campaign at all. Just that is actually good. I know there are 5-year-olds and 10-year-olds, but the worst part about that video is the only thing that's inaccurate about that video is them motherfuckers ain't in white uniforms. Okay. The Iranian Rev Guard guys are not in white uniforms. They're hanging out
No.
in civilian clothes and flip-flops now. But there's no massive operations center. But everything in that video is accurate and viable. And they're just sort of sending a hint that we haven't even used our real asymmetric capability yet. It's accurate. Now, I'm not shilling for Iran, all right? Hate Iran. They tried to kill me. I've sailed in their minefields. I'm fine with blasting their capability. But I'm also more interested in doing this the correct way rather than just having the propaganda that people are, think that we can just waltz into neighborhoods and carry out operations and that it's completely risk-free. And like I said, my job is to insert reality in here. So I'm going to find there's another video done by the Houthis that is excellent. And I keep going, why are these guys so much better at online social media than we are?
Because they have something called online jihad.
Yes,
They
the online jihad's been going for decades, bro.
Well, the propaganda machine for the online jihad has only been improved during that time.
Yeah.
And part of that online jihad, I really wanted to mention this earlier. We really need to understand the martyrism and the jihad aspect that the Iranians have.
Yep.
Many people see many people see the number of death and they think, oh yeah, this must be like hurting their 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 pride, or is gonna destroy their willingness to continue fighting. But they see it as they're gonna go and they're gonna have the best. They're about to go have the next step of their life after they die. This is not the end of the story for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they see this death as like actually exciting than like Americans do. And like Americans are like, why isn't this working?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's take another look at another piece of propaganda. And the reason that I'm showing you this propaganda is propaganda like this are aspirational videos of what our enemies or our opponents, depending on what your position is, whether what they intend to do. Never ignore an enemy's propaganda. Yes, it may be crazy, but they may also be giving you hints as to capabilities you might have sort of forgot about. This video comes from the Houthis in the Red Sea, and it was put out yesterday as also a response about attacking Iran's energy infrastructure. What does that tell you? The Houthis probably had this video has probably been done for a very long time, but
Yeah.
Sorry, somebody wrote something funny. But these videos tell you that the Houthis are prepared to jump double feet into this war. And like we said, they could shut off all oil flow from the Arabian Peninsula for indefinitely. And we don't have enough bombs to stop this thing. We had a war with the Houthis a year ago. People don't realize that. We had a war that went for almost a month with the Houthis. Ships were shot at, tankers were blown up left and right, ecological disasters happened, and then Trump just walked away from it. Right? Said that they had come to some agreement that the Houthis wouldn't attack ships. Yeah, they're not going to attack ships because the Iranians are like, chill out. We need your weapons for whenever the next attack comes. So let me show you this video because it's very religious also. It has an enormous number of religious themes. I actually thought the part about in the Lego video of them showing that it was Eid, right? Eid al-Fitr, the end of Ramadan, the Islamic holy month, and they had the dates, although the dates were square because it's Lego dates. They had dates, they had the little, fried sweets. They had the samovar with your tea, all right, the calendar, and then they had all the guys praying, right, behind the commander. Again, none of them guys have white uniforms. I'm sorry, they don't. That's supposed to be the IRGC Navy, by the way, not the regular Navy. They're sunk.
But you know
But I
why
thought
they
it was
use Lego? You know why they use Lego?
Hmm.
It's because to create more trouble between Trump and Denmark.
copyright violations, right? Because Trump would like put one out.
That's
So
the play.
they even brought in the Epstein files, right? With the little doll girls. I was like, damn, Iran, you don't pull any punches. Why aren't we this good at doing propaganda? If they had asked me, we would have been making fun of their ass all day, all night, right? So the reason you lost is because you started wearing combat boots, not flip-flops. So this is one of these things. But let's take a look at the Houthi one, because this does show capability, which is real. The Houthis do have this capability. They do have the ability to attack. They're going to show up. This is a live video with some AI, but they're going to show actual attacks that they've done. Let's watch. Okay, that's enough. I got to tell you, first off, great Arabic. That's a rocking tune. Now, this rocking tune in that video serves two purposes, not just to project what they think is their ability, but also I found it strategically interesting that they did this right after they released it, right after the threat, the ultimatum for 48 hours came out. And that is showing me they are motivating their base, their population to be prepared for this. Look, I've been around the Middle East a lot. I got two kids named after me, named Malik in the Muslim world. I know young guys really get motivated by videos like that. Why'd what do you say?
Have you ever been to a war dance?
Yes, I have. A
Not
Saudi one?
not a Native American, yeah, a Saudi one.
No, yes, I played with the sword, baby. I didn't have a cane. I had a sword.
Exactly. And guess what do they say during those? They say a lot of religious chants.
Yes.
They guess what else they do? They say like they were gonna destroy our enemy and then like show their skills of athleticism, right?
Right.
So the fact that they can't always do that in person, your best next thing is religious poetry that is sung in a certain way. Al Qaeda did that very,
Mm.
very well. Taliban did that very, very well.
Yeah.
And Houthis and the Iranians do that very well. Also, Hamas and Hezbollah.
Yep. Well, it's a very
It's
motivating video, and I think that it was actually effective. I mean, I
Yeah.
was dancing. You guys don't know it. I was off camera dancing to that thing because that's a
but
rockin'
it's
jam.
but
I have spent 40 years in the Middle East and the Muslim world. As I said, I find it also interesting some of the iconography that they used. The Qatari air defense system that was already destroyed by a $20,000 drone. That's that radar system there. They showed them obliterating it. There are not one of those around the Middle East. There are three of them. And these guys are astute. They may suck at war, but they're great at propaganda.
Yeah.
And that video's not for you. That video is for the average Muslim on the street who really thought, that the Gaza war was bad, that America doesn't have the interest of the Muslim world at their heart, and that they're like the opposite of Al Qaeda, right? They are true, faithful combatants in the war with Islam, in support of the defense of Islam. And that works on the street. It doesn't work in the government. It
but
doesn't work in the
it
government.
was
Makes
like,
them worry.
classical jihadist propaganda.
Yeah.
And even though this is Shia, and most of what we've seen otherwise is Sunni jihadist propaganda, it's the same, more or less the same, flavor that it has, and also obviously it's about oppression. It's about the Palestinian cause, and it's about all the corruption and all that. It's classical.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Let's
and
go to
And if
we've
you saw
said
part of the video,
empirically we've seen it work.
yeah. So, and you saw part of the propaganda was anti-Gulf nations. The
yeah.
same rhetoric right now. The same rhetoric right now is on the street, where you're having people are like arguing, why are the Gulf nations not protecting Iran? Why are the Gulf nations aligned with the Jews and the infidels? Why are the Gulf nations, like not protecting the holy land of the Muslim Shia property? And you're having the Saudi Sunnis going, why are the Iranians attacking the two holy lands of the mosque of Mecca and Medina? Why are the Iranians? It's
Look,
yeah.
there's a street fight coming. If the Saudis decide to join the United States and they and the Emirates go and take Abu Musa Island and decide they're going to go up and help with taking Kishem or Kish Island or Larak and using Saudi forces, now we are in a different world. It's not about Israel. It's not about the United States. And this unspoken piece of history, right? The fissure, the Shia, right? The fragmentation of Islam at the end of the first Islamic civil war in the year 658. It started in 657. I want to say it's ended in 658. And that's when Shia Islam split from the mainstream Islam of Sunnah. And for 1,000, I don't know, what Islamic year is it right now? So 1,400 some odd years, this war has been waiting to happen again to determine who really should have won the succession to the caliphate after Caliph Ali and, after the Prophet Muhammad. And Shia Islam, there have been at least 2 or 3 times in my career where we thought Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states would be invaded by Iran, and that these guys would drive hard. Their war would be to get to Mecca and to redetermine who controls the 2 cities of the holy shrines, right? Who becomes the protectors of the 2 holy cities, Mecca and Medina. And this is a very old grudge, but it's possible.
the Hijri date is 1447.
It's 1447. Okay. Minus 657. That tells you how many years that this has been. No. Minus 57. Anyway,
57, yes. It wasn't that
okay.
long.
Yeah. So it was soon after the death of the Prophet Muhammad. Khalif Ali was his son-in-law,
That's
right?
right.
Which is why they wanted him to come in for president, come in to be the leader of Islam.
Hassan and Hussein are his grandkids.
Yes. And all killed in the Sunni Shia, caliphate, or fights between the caliphate. Although it's not true. Khalif Ali was executed by the ISIS of their time, a group called the Karamita. No, not the Karamita, the Khawarij. The Khawarij, the outsiders. Anyway, we could talk Islamic history all day long. Let's go to questions. We have a load of questions, some for Wajid, some for Jacob. Let's ask them. First, Trump says, from Dan Demenberg, he asks quite good questions every day. Trump says there are negotiations with Iran. Iran says there are none. Oil is down almost 10%. Who should we believe?
Well, to be honest, I don't think we should believe Trump. I don't think there are any negotiation. I think it's just something that he's just, made up.
Yeah. Why'd
I think the word of the United States as in terms of weight on the international stage has been lost. Whatever Trump says to calm oil market or to calm international markets, everyone stopped listening.
I think he only speaks to Wall Street. I don't think he speaks to anyone else. He views the stock market level, which they say is now, I got a report that it's surging. The market is surging right now on the basis of this news. Funny how this news fucking comes out a couple of hours before 9 a.m., right? When the market opens. He's manipulating the market. It's pretty clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Ron Lapine says, Malcolm, have you read the book House to House? Yes, I have. Trishan 2020 says, as per Borowitz, Iran declared today Taco Monday. That's good. Question for Jacob from Shane Granger. The Germans are reported to have targeted the Greenland airfields prior to the Iranian campaign. What is this? The Germans. Your thoughts? God bless Queen Mary. And P.S. I'm a Republican. The Germans? Maybe they meant the Germans were going to come and help keep them clear of Americans. What do you think? Did you hear anything about that?
No, I mean the French are the ones that sent the most troops and the most military equipment to help deter the Americans from entering Greenland, and the Germans did as well, but not as to a large extent as the French.
Yeah. And for Cecile Nagard and Pamela Burns, we've answered those questions. Hers was, do you think this pause, what was the purpose of the 5-day pause? And Cecile Nagard said, is this market manipulation? Yeah, both. Yes to both. Clarity asks, are there any Republicans still talking about Hunter Biden's laptop? Every day. Diane says, Besant looks like a white Grinch. He certainly acts like one. Oh my God. Corey says, please post the multi-pass online. I will. I'll put it up on our web, on my social, my Substack feed, so you can all have a multi-pass. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go sailing in the Gulf and see if it works.
Shannon Granger says for Jacob, what did my old mate Angus Twitchy Campbell say in the NATO meeting? Do you know what that's about?
Stay in the NATO meeting.
He said something in the NATO meeting. Angus Campbell. I don't know who that is.
No, I don't know. There was a NATO meeting about the war last week, but there have been no statements about it. It was kept closed doors. There was not obviously any agreement, and it was not even official that the countries announced that they've discussed this issue. It's only off record.
And the last question comes from Laura Ballard. What do you know about David Barnea, the head of the Mossad, former head of the Mossad, who believed they could galvanize a domestic overthrow of the Iranian regime? Waja, do you think that the Israelis could have mobilized and overthrow the regime?
I think mobilizing, they certainly have tried. They certainly have tried working with faction groups in the past, but are they capable of it? Are they could plan for it. They can have factions that they could support, but how realistic, they have agreed that it is not realistic right now. That at least the current news that came out from Israel, that the Israelis don't think the regime in Iran will change anytime soon.
Okay. All right. Jacob, what do you think? Could the
Yeah,
Israelis have done it? We saw them try.
We saw them try. I don't know whether David Barnea has made any statements. It would surprise me if he really thought this would work. I mean, it's one thing to plan contingencies and to have politicians say you have to try this and that. I've not seen any statements that David Barnea himself has said that he thought this would work. And I think, most of the Israelis that are inside the intelligence agencies are aware of the realities and not that naive. Maybe some guys in operations believe that their operations can work wonders, but I don't think anyone that has done analysis on these things really believe that's a decent possibility.
Yeah. We saw them doing strikes in support of the Kurds, taking down police stations, blowing up border checkpoints so that it would be fluid. But they missed their chance in January. And again, I think it would be distasteful for people to do it in support of the United States, with the support of the United States, killing thousands of Iranians. Not Rev Guardsmen, just irregular Iranians that are dying too. And to do it for Israel, holy cow, you may as well just mark yourself for later execution if you're doing operations. And I think that the people who are pro-democracy there, you hear a lot of the diaspora like, yay, keep doing this. If you're in Iran right now, you are laying low, right? There's going to be a lot of denial
I think
going
when
on
I
later on.
talk to people from the diaspora here in Denmark primarily, they're very split. And there are someone that believed, all this Trump and Bibi propaganda, but they, they're the loudest. But I think, it splits them a lot. And to be honest, a lot of them knows this shit is not working.
Yeah, I agree.
They've seen the writing on the wall, and they're all very sad about it. And I can tell you there's a lot of fractures, even in a small country like Denmark, inside of the Iranian diaspora.
Yep. All right. Well, a couple of reminders and a little administration. If you have not subscribed to Jacob Orwagia, go to this little gray rondel at the top that says Black Man Spy. Press on it, and you can see the subscribe button will pop up if you haven't subscribed. So if you're following me, follow them. They're very good analysts. Also, No King's Day. For those of you who partake, No King's Day will happen on March 28th this year. I am a big advocate that the United States, no kings. I am from Philadelphia. I am a big protest guy. Also, if you guys know that I'm associated with a political action committee called FAFOPAC.org, and we are doing a highway overpass takeover campaign where you can put your message on a highway overpass. That being said, for those of you who are on YouTube, what's that? You have a king. When are we going to go have coffee with that king? That's what I want.
We have a proper king.
A proper king.
Saudi Arabia has a king.
Yeah, you guys all have kings. I don't have a king. Thank God. We don't need Mad King Donald the Last leading us off into a nuclear apocalypse or something.
And for sure he got his inspiration from the Gulf nations, right?
Last bit of administration is that many of you are watching this on YouTube and not on Substack because this is automatically uploaded to YouTube every day. We are getting tens of thousands of followers. We had over 1 million views in the last week, almost 1 million views in the last week, just watching these videos over and over again because not everyone can watch full-time live. If you are watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so that you'll get your notifications. But more importantly, go to malcolmnance.substack.com and subscribe to my podcast for free, which means you can watch it for free. If you want to become a paid subscriber, then you can make comments. And I interact with those comments, by the way, guys. And I want to try to reach 100,000 followers. I have 1 million followers on Twitter. I have 250,000, almost 300,000 on Blue Sky, 269,000 on YouTube. It's Substack where I'd like to get the 100,000 because the algorithm changes. And I think we're still like the number 1 or number 6 political podcast in the United States right now because we are giving good information every day. And then you can subscribe to Wajia and Jacob, and they do their own independent analysis during the day. And that's where I get half my good ideas. I just watch theirs. And then I know what questions to ask the next day. So please subscribe to Substack or subscribe to YouTube. Pass this and share this on with your friends. We will see you this time tomorrow.
This is the virtual intelligence cell.
We should call ourselves that. We should call ourselves that, right? The Internet Intelligence Agency or something. And but I will likely be reporting from my home in upstate New York tomorrow. It's very nice. It's snowing here, but I will let you know. You'll know if you see a different background. This is the chalet of the 2 spies background. If I am in my writing room, which has beautiful accoutrements and all sorts of fun little mementos lying around, like my picture of Saddam Hussein I took from an Iraqi tanker we boarded, we'll see that.
I'll get my Saddam memorabilia in here for tomorrow.
You got to stack it up behind you. Your bobblehead Saddam. So, all right, guys, I will see you all tomorrow. All right, take care.
See ya.